Bases dropped on a beautiful cold morning in Atlanta, Georgia. November 28th, Soccer Down Here is live on a Wall Pass Wednesday. We're taking your questions on Twitter at Soccer Down Here. It's like an AMA. You can ask us whatever you want, whether it's about the conference finals, whether it's about the roster moves around the league, whether it's about craziness with the Copa Libertadores, or whatever y'all want to get into. That's what Wednesdays turn into around here. We'll be getting deep into the Atlanta-New York Red Bulls match tomorrow night as well. We'll also talk about Portland and Kansas City, get you ready for those conference finals, and we'll look at what Orlando did. They finally announced their changes, and I think we have a little bit of clarification, too. I don't know if they were actually given an extension. Some of the language given to the reporters in Orlando might not have been the proper language. They made their announcement a little bit later, but it sounds like they actually submitted their roster decisions on time. So we can take that one off the boards of things to laugh at Orlando about, because it looks like they followed all the proper rules. Jason Longshore, John Nelson here with you this morning, and let's start there before we start digging into playoffs. Let's talk about a couple of the teams who their season's over. They're starting to make those moves, getting ready for next year. And Orlando actually declined quite a few options that surprised probably isn't the right word because of the season they had. You know, we kind of expected big changes, but they declined options on Joe Bendick, Scott Sutter, Jonathan Spector, Chris Schuler, and others. But Bendick, Sutter, Spector, Schuler to a little bit lesser extent, are guys that didn't really expect to not see their option picked up. Now we don't know if the option year would have had like a huge raise or would have been for 2 years and maybe they only wanted to do one. We don't know. We don't know what the terms were here. And they were different for all of them. But Bendick has been your goalkeeper for quite a while until the end of last season, where O'Connor started to turn to other people. Sutter has had some injury issues, but in my opinion has been steady and pretty good. Spector had injury issues, and probably that's the number one reason why his option wasn't picked up. Schuler was bouncing back from an injury, thought he was okay in his appearances. Guys who had options picked up, no major shocks here. Carlos Asquez, who was a midseason pickup that I think was a good signing. Uri Rosell is a good signing, came in injured. Christian Higuita has been there from day one. Will Johnson, we think his option was extended because of playing too many games at the end of the season, which is just crazy. Chris Mueller was on an option. Remember, he was, a mid-first-round pick last year, so he didn't have a guaranteed second year on his contract. PC, and then your goalkeepers, who are your only goalkeepers on the roster right now, Adam Grinwis and Mason Staduhar, are still under contract. Earl Edwards is out of contract. Joe Bendick had the option declined. There will be lots of new faces in Orlando going into 2019, John, because these are a lot of the key guys who have played a lot of minutes. You'll still have Dom Dwyer. You'll still have Sasha Kleshtin. You'll still have Will Johnson, Higuita, some of your typical faces there. But I think the biggest thing is you're going to have a very different back line in Orlando next year.
Yeah, and when the list came out, I looked at Spector and I looked at Sutter, and then I looked at Bendick, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And also options not exercised for Donny Toya and Villarreal and a couple of others. But you looked at those first couple of names, and you're going, okay, and now what are you going to do? You know, you don't have your general manager has been basically shown the door. I was trying to figure out how to say plays. The team has parted ways with its club GM. You put your list out, some surprising names, and now I want to see what James O'Connor and the soon-to-be reassembled front office have in mind. And, all right, so style of play, individuals, what do you want to do now? And I thought that Sutter was a piece that was going to hang around. I thought that I would have liked to have seen what Jonathan Spector would have done fully healthy. Joe Bendick at times and Earl Edwards, they seem to have been completely and totally put in the washer dryer with everything going on around them defensively. So I want to see what that back line looks like. I want to see what they have in mind for bringing in individuals, especially when you sit there and you raise your eyebrow a little bit and just kind of sit there and go, when you have these names released.
Yeah, you've got some things to figure out in Orlando. I mean, it's not exactly a surprise after the season they had, but you're going to have to essentially rebuild the whole back line because you've moved on from Bendick, who has been your goalkeeper for quite a while. Spector was brought in to be the guy. Shane O'Neill will likely be replacing him as that main center back. Amro Tarek is back as well. You'll have Mohamed El Munir and RJ Allen probably as your outside backs to go into the year. Maybe. I don't know. That might be a reach. You could play Asquez as a center back. He's played there before, so that's an option as well if you want to go down that road. Lamine Sané is still under contract as well. Wasn't really all that impressed with his work. So is it Tarek? Is it Sané? Is it O'Neill? Is it maybe Asquez? Like, what's your center back situation? What's your outside back situation? You have PC at outside back. You have you let Donnie Toya go. You let Scott Sutter go. You have El Munir. It's not an inspiring group coming back for Orlando, and they're going to have to make some big changes. I mean, first off, they're going to have to get a general manager or figure out what that's going to look like. This is the worst time to make this decision because December 9th, your half-day trade window opens. We've seen teams use that trade window to great effect. There will be teams who are willing to wheel and deal in that 4 hours, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on December 9th. Yes, that's the morning after MLS Cup. That's your only trade window. That's it. Before you get into all of your free agency and postseason drafts, because it's an interesting process in Major League Soccer with waiver draft, with reentry draft, with all of it. That 4 hours is where you can make some deals. Orlando has to be in a position to make some deals, and I don't know who's going to be making those deals. That's going to be a fascinating thing because then right after that, I mean, you have your expansion draft. Your list has to be turned in. Free agency begins on the 11th. Your waiver draft is the 12th. Your reentry draft is the 14th. You have an opportunity to make your team better that week after MLS Cup in a big way if you're prepared. Huge way. I go back and look at DC United between 2013 and 2014. 2013, they were one of the worst teams in Major League Soccer history. Awful, abysmal, dreadful. In that window, well, they won U.S. Open Cup, so I will limit some of the words I would use, which was one of the craziest U.S. Open Cup wins ever. They lifted a trophy. Yeah, they did. The thing that's crazy, though, is that going into this period, they went out and they added a number of veterans into their team via free agent, or not free agency at that time, but via the waiver draft, via the reentry draft. They became one of the better teams in the league in 2014. It can flip that fast. Not quite as easily to do that now because of TAM and other things that are in play. But if Orlando is smart, I know that's a big if, they can make some big moves in that week and solidify things. Can they go find some center backs and outside backs in that window? Yeah, absolutely. There are teams with more center backs than they can play. There are teams with more outside backs than they can play. There will be teams that will be willing to wheel and deal. Got to put yourself in that position, and we'll see what Orlando does. A couple other roster moves to mention before we start digging into playoffs. Cincinnati signed Emmanuel Ledesma to their MLS roster. No surprise there. We were expecting that one for quite a while. He's been a star for them in USL. We'll see if he can make the jump to MLS and continue to be a big contributor. LAFC, Benny Feilhaber is out of contract. Also, Jordan Harvey, Dejan Jakovic are out of contract, but Feilhaber's the biggest name there. Lee Wynn's option was picked up. Not too much of a surprise, but did not decline it and try to renegotiate. Lee Wynn will be back. Benny Feilhaber, we'll have to wait and see. Colorado, no major surprises. The biggest one to me is Edgar Castillo was on a loan with an option to buy. They have not picked up the option to buy. They are negotiating. Now, generally, when you do these moves, you have an option to buy that you're comfortable triggering. And maybe you are here. Maybe you're just haggling over a few zeros or a few numbers in it. Maybe it's not a major deal, but Colorado's got to pick up Edgar Castillo. He was the only thing worth watching in that team last year. Kellen Acosta came too late. Edgar Castillo was a borderline best 11 player. He was that good for that bad of a team. You brought him in with the option to buy, I would hope, with the thought that you're going to purchase him at the end of the loan. Don't get caught haggling when you should be picking this one up. This is a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, and I mean, that's you. I looked at the list when it came out yesterday, and I was like, okay. And then you look at the bottom where I think Castillo was in the last sentence because of option not picked up, still negotiating, and it's almost like burying the lead. And in this case, you got to get this one squared away. And I'm looking at clauses in contracts. I'm looking at dotting of I's and crossing of T's. But yeah, this one has to underline, exclamate, italicize, boldface, pick your font size. That's got to get done.
Yeah, got to do it. A couple other rumors that are out there. Ashley Cole might be back with the LA Galaxy. There are some rumors that they're trying to bring him back on a reduced number. He started to show his age a little bit as the year went on, but he's been a very good player for them, better than I would have ever expected. It depends on the number, and it depends on how much you're expecting him to play. I don't think he can give you 34 games at this point. Can he give you 20 starts? Yeah, I think he can do that. But how much are you going to pay to get him to do that? Walker Zimmerman's out of contract with LAFC, and the club has offered him a new deal. But there are rumors that he is a target of Oscar Pareja at Xolos. Remember, Zimmerman played for Pareja at Dallas before he went to LAFC. Guy he knows very, very well. A guy he had a huge hand in developing. So Zimmerman to Tijuana is not a shock. There are rumors that Pareja is trying to bring other former players to Tijuana, and depending on who you talk to, there's been talk about multiple Dallas players and lots of speculation. Could it be a Maxi Urruti or Michael Barrios or guys like that? They haven't been specifically named. One name that has popped up multiple occasions is Miner Figueroa, whose option was declined by FC Dallas. At the end of his career, and Tijuana-based TV reporter Saeed Rodriguez says that Figueroa would join as an assistant coach, which would make a lot of sense. Figueroa this year, I thought, really showed the wear and tear and just couldn't keep up with the speed of play in this league. And he's been a player that Pareja has had a lot of belief in. And now to be able to bring him into the coaching staff makes a lot of sense. And, again, it's another player who would have a lot of connections to bringing talent to Tijuana for Pareja. So not bad. Not bad at all. A couple other players who are rumored to potentially be leaving. Roman Torres, Millonarios in Colombia is interested in him. I think if that's the case, Seattle needs to wave by and give him whatever parting gift you give him in Cascadia and let him go.
Coffee.
I guess. I mean, I don't know if a Starbucks gift certificate is going to be useful if he goes to Colombia, and he's going to Colombia, so I don't think he needs coffee, to be honest. Torres, I think he's past it at this point. So let him go, rebuild. You got to figure out kind of what's next if you're Seattle anyway. DC United, and a player to keep an eye on, they're going to make their announcement today about their roster decisions. Stephen Goff at the Washington Post says Ian Harkes could be let go. He's on an option. Goff says that DC will not be picking up the option, and he would go, I believe, into the waiver draft, not the re-entry draft, because he's only played a couple of years. Harkes is a guy who I think in the right situation can be a starter, and if not a starter, a key player off the bench in this league. We've seen bits and pieces of him in DC, but never with the top group. So he's a guy to keep an eye on. I think he's one that, okay, if you're Orlando or you're a team like Orlando and you're trying to find contributors in this week after MLS Cup, Ian Harkes is a guy who could be that. He's got the pedigree, not just because of his last name. He's got the pedigree based off what he did at Wake Forest. He's got the pedigree based off what he did with U.S. youth national teams. He's a player who I think can give a little bit more than we've seen so far. So he's one to keep an eye on. Let's take a quick break. We'll get into your questions starting in the next segment. We do have one from Joe Bost about what Atlanta United's calendar looks like, and we'll get into that on the other side of the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, Wall Pass Wednesday edition, November 28th. Jason Longshore, John Nelson with you so far. Jarrett Smith will be joining here in a bit. What do we have on a Wall Pass Wednesday timeline right now, John?
Okay, so a lot of folks are responding to the new NGSU video by Associate Producer Emeritus Jay Riddle. So watch that. It's on the unrelegated Facebook page. So, and when Mike Conti says best one yet, you know it's must view. It's must viewing. Soccer listening in Germany, Andrew Baker. He says, to give you another data point on what Red Bulls have to overcome, in UEFA Champions League, only 3 teams have come back from 3+ goals down after the first leg to turn it around. Roma last year, Barca 2 years ago, Deportivo La Coruña in 03-04. In recent CONCACAF Champions League history, Club America overcame a 3-goal deficit in emphatic style, winning 6-3 on aggregate in 2014-2015. It happens, but very, very rarely.
Yeah, it can happen, and that's why you can't go into this thinking it's done, because you get an early goal and start to flip the script. momentum starts to swing, nerves start to bounce around even more, and anything can happen. The Red Bulls have scored 3+ goals in 7 home games in 2018. They won all those, of course. But 5 of the 7 had score lines that would put this to extra time or be an outright win for the Red Bulls. So 7 out of 14? Or no, out of 17. Sorry,
50,
I can't do math.
Okay.
No, 7 out of 17. So still, that's a lot. I think it will be very difficult for the Red Bulls to find 3 goals in this and not concede, because they're going to have to take some chances to find it. But it can happen. So Atlanta has to come in thinking it is scoreless and you're trying to get out of here alive. That's the way you think about it. You don't come in thinking, well, we can make some mistakes and we're good. You come in and you're sharp and you take care of business and you make life difficult for the team that has to go make things happen. You frustrate them. You make it difficult for them to do what they want to do. That's where Atlanta has to be mindset-wise going into Thursday.
Swickster, to follow up on that, he says, I'd like to remind Atlanta United that they currently are 3 goals ahead of a usually really good New York Red Bulls who will try everything to claw their way back. This game will be chippy. Keep your heads cool. Avoid silly mistakes, and especially avoid red cards.
To me, I mean, yes, of course, but whatever it takes to get to MLS Cup final, you have to do it. You can't go in scared about cards, and you can't go in worried about chippiness. You have to do what this game calls for. Obviously, you don't want to miss MLS Cup if you get there, but you got to get there. You have to get there. That's the number one job here. So you have to manage the game as it plays out. If it's 3-0 and in the 75th minute and somebody's breaking through the middle of the field, no, you're going to hold up on that tackle. You're not going to bring them down. You're going to let them go through, and you're going to be okay. If it's 3-2 and somebody's breaking through the middle of the field in the 80th minute with a chance to create a goal for the Red Bulls, yeah, you're going to make that foul. And if you eat a red, you eat a red. That's how you have to manage this game based off situation. So you don't want to put yourself in that boat. What you want to do in a perfect world is you want to get an early goal, because then things completely flip for the Red Bulls. Then you're looking at having to find 5. That's almost impossible. Almost. So how much are you going to risk to find that? I don't think you're going to risk very much. But if you get one, you're golden. You're absolutely golden. You have to worry about set pieces, to me. That's where I feel like the Red Bulls can create the most high quality of chances is via set piece.
Joe Boss needing a clarification. He says, good morning to the Trace Jace at Soccer Down Here, and goes into his Bruce Buffer impression. For his Wall Pass Wednesday, he wants to know when Atlanta United has to submit their roster for next year.
Well, you don't submit your roster for next year. Don't think of it that way. It's just your off-season decisions. So, and it's really, at this point, it's all options. Everybody that's on an option contract. Monday was your option deadline for teams that were no longer in the playoffs. Monday at 1 o'clock. Then now you're seeing teams announce it, but they all had to be submitted by 1 o'clock Monday. Maybe unless you're Orlando. Maybe you got an extension. I don't know. November 30th, Friday, for the teams that are eliminated on Thursday, they have to submit their option decisions by 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon. For teams that participate in MLS Cup, December 9th, the next day, at noon, is your option exercise deadline. That's your timeline here at this point.
Nathan Pugh says that you touched on it yesterday with MLS profit sharing / salary for payments for players. The proceeds from selling a player has to go towards infrastructure and club use. As an investment, could Atlanta use Miggy proceeds to fund an investment on PT? Hashtag Wildcats Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's generally how it goes, is you sell a player for that type of money. It's generally going to be a player that was already on a designated player contract, and you're just replacing the designated player slot. Columbus would be a little different because Zach Steffen's not on a designated player contract, and you would be, benefiting from getting a guy that you brought in on a free and who's on a comfortable salary and selling them and making a lot of money that you could then put into a designated player. But yeah, absolutely. If you sell Miguel Almiron for a lot of money, a lot of that money will be used to bring in Pity Martinez if that's the play.
And then, Elliot, just to clarify what's going on with the high school football playoffs and MLS final. Traditionally, the championship games for GHSA are slated for the weekend after the SEC championship game in the same building. So it normally is the 7th and the 8th. But the contingency plan was made back in the summer that if there was going to be a conflict, that the GHSA playoffs would slide to Tuesday, Wednesday. So if Atlanta United, a tenant in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, has an MLS Cup final date, the GHSA playoffs slide to midweek. So that's what's going on. That's the shortest of the short versions that I can give you. That was the plan from what? The beginning of the calendar year, I think. Like that was way back. That was before I think the MLS season started. I think that was already known that would be the plan. And then reinforced in an executive committee meeting for the GHSA over the summer. I want to say June or July, just before football season actually started. Yeah, the calendar for the stadium, I mean, you're talking a year ahead at a minimum. Like it's pretty well known what it will be and who has priority and how things move around. Don't get worked up about people who don't understand what's happening and yelling about their high school football game possibly getting moved to a couple days later. It's okay. It's okay. A lot of them don't know what's going on. A lot of them don't get it, and that's fine. Is it a huge deal for a high school kid to get a chance to play at Mercedes-Benz? Yeah, absolutely it is. That's awesome. That's an amazing thing. And they're still going to get that opportunity. It's just going to be a couple of days later. There's nothing to be worked up here. If you're a high school football person and you're worked up about it, I don't know what to tell you. How long does the tradition, as some people have said, how long does it go back to playing at the Georgia Dome and now Mercedes-Benz? Like, honestly, not that far back. I want to say 2009 was the first year that finals were in the centralized location, because it used to be the semifinals, which were the week of the SEC championship game, or the semifinals used to be on site, and then they would go to home sites. But about 10 years ago is when they finally moved the finals to the singular location. Yeah, now they did the semifinals at the Dome for a while, right? Or did they do some of the semifinals at the Dome? Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did all the semifinals at the Dome, and that was leading up to 2009. So I want to say from like 97 to 08 was when you had the semifinals at the Dome, and then championships on site, and then that was flipped about a decade ago. Yeah, this is not that long of a history. It like they didn't do this at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. This is a pretty new thing, and depending on who you ask, there's plenty of high school people that would rather have the finals on site too, at the stadiums, because travel, because home field advantage, because different environment, different atmosphere. The economic impact that you would have, especially in the smaller towns and the smaller classifications. I mean, if you had 8 to 10,000 people going to a smaller, like a AA or a single A championship game, or even a AAA championship game, think of the economic impact that it would have in those towns that would be hosting those kinds of things. So I see it both ways, and I've heard the argument both ways. Yeah, absolutely. It's a very cool thing for the teams that are involved, and they will get their chance to play at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, barring any ice storms like we had last time, and it will be okay. Yeah, that was no bueno. So it's okay, everybody. If a few high school football people are upset, just wave and get ready for MLS Cup if Atlanta United gets through Thursday, because that's the most important thing here. That's the key, is nothing is in stone until you get through Thursday. That's the first step. All right, we're going to take a break. Jarrett Smith will join us on the other side. We'll get into more of your questions on a Wall Pass Wednesday. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, That's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, Wall Pass Wednesday edition, November 28th. Taking your questions on Twitter at Soccer Down Here. I'm Jason. John's over there. And now Jarrett's over on the other side. What's up, Jarrett?
No, not a lot. Just theorizing how we can turn Georgia into Siberia for the spectacle that is high school football for some of the South Georgia counties who may not have seen snow outside of a Charlie Brown Christmas.
Hey, don't knock a Charlie Brown Christmas.
I'm not knocking it.
Okay. Just
saying that might be the most snow they've ever seen.
They will have imported all of the devices to make it to simulate what it would be like. Trust me.
Well, Rush Probst at Colquitt would, because he has a budget bigger than most college football programs.
Oh, he's got like Clemson budget.
Yeah, easily.
Like right, Dad was like, "Damn, can we get that?"
Yeah, can we get some of that?
Oh.
All right. What else do we have on the Wall Pass Wednesday agenda?
Okay, Ricky Ricardo, it looks like he's going to want an audio hashtag Whiteboard Chronicles.
Okay. I will do my best.
He says, I can finally listen live because I took off work for my birthday today. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Everyone has said that the Red Bulls are going to have to chase goals, but I'm interested to know how that looks tactically for them and how Atlanta will play based on that hashtag Wall Pass Wednesday.
I don't think Atlanta changes, first off. I don't think Atlanta changes anything coming in. I think it's 3-5-2 and the same lineup. If everybody's ready to go, it's the same lineup. I don't think you change anything. You have a lot of built-in flexibility depending on what you see from the opposition in that. Now, what do you see from the Red Bulls? I don't know, because Chris Armas baffled me with his decisions in the first leg. There was an article where he was trying to explain what he was trying to do. I have questions because it didn't work. So I've seen some comments on Twitter that I did find very funny. It seems like there's a lot of people like bending over backwards to try to give Chris Armas credit for trying something different and thinking through this. Look, it didn't work. It didn't work, so it was wrong. You can't say, well, it was the right thing to do because of the situation in X and Y and Z and A and Q and M and... No. You lost 3-0 in the first leg. It didn't work. You didn't make the proper adjustments. I've seen people say that, they dialed up the press in the second half and went back to what they were. No, they didn't. That's not how it played out. No. So what do they do now? That's the question. You're not going to really be able to high press because I'm not expecting Atlanta to change how they've played in the last 3 games. And this is what Chris Armas said about coming in. He said, we watched the New York City series. They're 20-plus percentage of long balls, and that was against NYC. So against us, we really expected direct play, which is exactly what we saw. So on the day, we see 23% long from Atlanta without us all pressing. So if we started pressing them, what was it going to be? 30%, 35%? So the idea of not getting stretched, I think, was a good one. I disagree. And we talked about it last night on Stoppage Time Live over at Fido Irish Pub. It was not just direct long ball. Okay, it's at my foot. I'm Michael Parkhurst. I'm going to blast it into the other half and just see what happens. How much did you see of that from Atlanta in leg 1? Very little. How many times did you see them consciously in the first half work the ball to the left and hit a long diagonal to Franco Escobar against Connor Lade? A lot. Now, at some point, if you're the New York Red Bulls, you have to understand that this is not just playing direct for the sake of playing direct. This is a targeted strategy. Okay? You have 2 options. You have 3 options. You can hope that Connor Lade grows 6 inches in the game and is better able to handle Franco Escobar. That's probably not going to happen. You could change up your team. When Kamar Lawrence is out, you didn't really have an option there. You could have switched Michael Murillo and Connor Lade. Maybe, although Murillo on the left is something we haven't seen. Sometimes you got to pull things out of the box in the playoffs. Maybe that would have been the way to do it. Or you put pressure on that ball because it's not just a random ball. It's not a random thing to say, oh, well, let's just hit it that way and let's just hit it and see what happens. It was, we're getting the ball to the left. We're making the big switch because we like the matchup of Franco Escobar and Connor Lade. So you have to step to that ball. You have to not allow Atlanta to hit that 35, 40, 50-yard ball into space 1v1 for Connor Lade to try to defend Franco Escobar. Flat out. So this is why I'm not giving Chris Armas credit. Credit for thinking about it, but not credit for the way you chose to handle it. When your line is, so on the day we see 23% long from Atlanta without us all out pressing. So if we started pressing them, what was it going to be? 30, 35%. It could be, sure. But you could also be affecting the quality of that long delivery. Because, again, we've talked about this all year long. How often do you see Atlanta play long passes? A lot. This is not new. How many times do we cite Brad Gazan, one of the leaders in the league in connecting long passes? Leandro Gonzalez-Perez, one of the leading field players in connecting long passes. I remember talking about games against Orlando where Atlanta dialed up more long passing. Michael Parkhurst, Jeff Lorenowitz, perfectly capable of it. They do it a lot. Eric Remedi can hit that long pass. We've talked about that a lot. This is not new, but it is a long pass. It is not direct play. It is not even just conceding possession, because Atlanta had time in this game to not just have to blast it long and give up possession and then have to defend. They had time to pick out a long pass to open the game up. That is so different from the way this is being discussed. To just say they hit 23% long, that doesn't tell you anything. And you never adjust it. So what do they do now? How do they adjust now? Because I do think Atlanta plays 30% long, 35% long in this. Sure. Because they have a 3-0 lead. Because they can concede possession here. They don't have to take as many risks to try to make things happen. So, okay, if you're New York, you've already said you can't press if a team's going to do that, which is true. So what are you going to do? You can't just all-out press if Atlanta will be even more prone to just playing long. How do you deal with it? I think you have to figure out what you do in the midfield. You generally play Sean Davis and Tyler Adams together in front of your back four, Kaku in front of them. I think you can only afford one defensive midfielder here to start. For me, the way I would swing it would be to play Sean Davis by himself in front of the back four, Kaku, and I'd move Daniel Royer inside to play underneath Bradley Wright Phillips. So it turns into a 4-1-4-1. Wright Phillips as the forward, Royer, Kaku behind him, Sean Davis behind them in the midfield triangle that's inverted from the way you usually play it. I'd play Tyler Adams out wide on the right, and I'd play Alex Muil wide on the left, and use their energy and their ability to step up high and also to run in behind and try to make things happen that way. Because you're going to have to put pressure on the ball, even if you know Atlanta's going to play long. And this is the thing that I think surprises me more than anything about it, is, okay, if you're going to force the team to play long or you think they're going to choose to play long, I would have a lot of belief in Aaron Long and Tim Parker in winning those battles. And then it's down to Sean Davis, Tyler Adams, whatever your tactical setup is. On Sunday, it would have been those two in front of your two center backs. You have to have belief in those two winning the second ball. You want to make the team play long, and then you want to win the second ball. I just don't get what Chris Armas was thinking here. I think he pulled the classic Red Bull coaching decision of overthinking it and going away from what has worked all season. If you had worked on these things in the season, if you had prepared for them, if you had a group of players that could play in a different style, great. I don't think they're built that way. And you have to make a decision at some point when you look at the opponent. You see what they're going to do. Can you take away what they do? Can you change your game to hurt them? Yes or no? If you can, great. We've seen Atlanta do that. If you can't, you're better off playing what has worked for you and go down swinging. That's always been my belief as a coach. And for Armas to be in the situation and think this and see this and say, well, yeah, they played 23% long and we didn't press, so it would have been worse if we had pressed. One, if they had forced more long play, I think that would play to New York's benefit in terms of recovering a second ball. I don't think Atlanta would have had as many chances as they did. What they did didn't work, and they never adjusted in it. So now in the second leg, how do you deal with it? You're really behind the eight ball because you have to get even further away from your DNA because it's going to be harder to press because Atlanta's going to be less willing to have the ball at their feet. So how else can you make something happen? You make the game frantic. You play for set pieces. You play for breaks. You do step and press. You do step up and try to challenge it, and you try to hurry Atlanta. If they're going to play long, fine. Hurry them so they play it out for a throw. Hurry them so they play it right to Aaron Long's forehead. Whatever it takes, that's what you have to do here. If you're the Red Bulls, I think now you've made it even more difficult. If you get out, it's 1-0 at halftime, and you're in the locker room, and you look at this, and you're like, man, they're playing long passes, but they're not just giving it away. They're keeping possession. They have 62% of the possession, and they're playing long. What do we do? You have to do something, and I don't think they did. And then you give up the second goal. Okay, now, what do we do? It's 2-0. What do we do here? The answer can't be nothing, because then you gave up the third, and that's the one that's the backbreaker. That's the one that puts this in a very difficult situation for the Red Bulls. 2-0? Okay, you go home and you win 2-0, as you did in September. You're going to extra time. 3-0? It's a whole different conversation. So I think that's what they do. I think they have to find a way to make the game disjointed, fast, without a typical press, because Atlanta's not going to allow that to happen. So if it's just harassing, if it's just making Atlanta play faster than they're comfortable, if it's just doing that so you can pick up more second balls, whatever it takes, Tyler Adams and where they play him will be the key to me. If they put him in that type of like right wing role as we've seen at times, I think they're going to try to play up high and press and make things difficult for you. If they put him in that number 6-8 role with Sean Davis, you have to force Atlanta to play long over the top, and then Adams and Davis have to lead the game in recoveries and in launching attacks. You've got to figure something out, because what you did on Sunday didn't work. You can't go back to that. You're probably not going to be able to press in your normal way. So what can you do that matches your DNA if you're the Red Bulls? We'll have to see what decision Chris Armas makes. But I think he got it wrong on Sunday. And the mental gymnastics that I'm seeing people go through to try to say that he got it right, even though he got it wrong, come on. You lost 3-0 in the first leg. You can't find anything positive about that. There's nothing to say that's positive about that. Jarrett, we talked about it a little bit last night, about adjustments, about what they could have done, about what they didn't do, about what they might be able to do on Thursday. You know, where's your head at as you look at the Red Bulls tactically coming into this?
I don't know. I'm kind of like, the more and more I think about this game, I kind of get that feeling of nerves, like, because I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how, how they're going to approach this, how Atlanta's going to, how quickly Atlanta's just going to be, because you go back and watch the start of that game, and Atlanta kicks it off. They work it to the back. Bradley Wright Phillips starts charging down and then holds his hand up and says, "Don't press." And then Atlanta launches a long ball. It's like, I expect that again. Is Armas going to outthink himself for a second straight game, thinking, well, now Atlanta's definitely going to play long because they have to? Because if we start pressing really hard, we can't press them if they don't have the ball, and they'll make us build from the back, which we can't do, and wait for us to turn it over in the middle of the field or in the final third, and then spring Tito Joseph or Miguel for a counter, and that's all she wrote at some point. Does Armas overthink this again? And it's kind of like what I can't keep coming back to is like, is he going to do something weird again?
There's not a lot of weird stuff you can do here. And go back to what you just said about, okay, if they're going to concede possession and they're going to play long, what do we do? You have to do something with the ball. You have to do something with the ball in the run of play. If you feel like, and this is what Armas said coming into the first leg, if you feel like Atlanta's decided to play more direct in the postseason and you can't press them, then what do you do? Because what you did on Sunday didn't work. So, okay, if they're going to play direct, you have to step to them. You can't let them have 62% of the possession in the first half. And that's what Atlanta did on Sunday. You can't do that because you got to find goals. So you can't sit back. So you have to do something. You have to step higher. You have to make Atlanta give up the ball faster. Because if you rush a team, they're not as likely to connect a pass. I mean, it's not rocket science here. Even if you know they're going to play direct, because what frustrates me about what was said and the people trying to give like benefit of the doubt here, Atlanta did not just play direct for the sake of kicking the ball as far away from your own goal as you possibly can. That's not what happened on Sunday. They played long passes that they were able to connect on because there was no pressure. That's a completely different thing. You can't just lump it all together and say, yep, they played direct. They had 62% of the possession, so they weren't just giving the ball away. So if you're New York, you don't feel like you can press because they're going to play direct, but you can't just let them connect long passes all day either. So I think you have to play your game. You have to play what has worked for you, and you have to make the game frantic. And yes, you have to stretch the game out, especially in this one, because you have to take advantage of the game getting stretched out. You have to go back and say, we signed Kaku for this reason. We signed Kaku to create these things. Sean Davis, we've seen him play in these types of roles. We know he can connect a pass. We know he can create chances. He's going to have to do that at times. He's going to have to get adventurous and leave the defensive midfield and go do it. Tyler Adams is one of the best young players in the United States. He's going to have to make something happen here. He's going to have to be put in a position to where he can impact this game in the attacking final third. Bradley Wright Phillips, you have to feed him. You have to feed him. You have to give him chances. Daniel Royer, he's savvy. He's crafty. You need to give him opportunities where he is not marked. Because Felipe Cardenas did a great job breaking down how Escobar and Lorenowitz kind of stifled Royer. I think some of the reason he was stifled was because of the lack of press and the lack of opportunities. But Escobar, Lorenowitz did a great job of limiting Royer's effectiveness. You got to put Royer in spots where he can be effective. You have to stretch the game out here if you're the Red Bulls. It's not going to work the way it did on Sunday. It's probably not going to work in your normal sense of pressing. So what's the smarter move here? To play something completely different than you've ever played, or to adjust what you do well? I think it's the latter.
Also, I think you make peace with the fact that as Atlanta forces you to build from the back, Jeff Lorenowitz and company might treat Bradley Wright Phillips like a speed bag again. Michael Parkhurst as well. A couple plays in that game where anytime that ball was coming to Bradley Wright Phillips when he wasn't in the box or near the box, somebody stepped and took the ball away from him. They got a shot in almost every single time. If we're counting hits like it's a Stanley Cup playoff game, Atlanta won that battle. And I assume
go back and watch how teams treat Joseph Martinez, because that's how you treat a forward. Absolutely.
Yeah. And just don't let him get control. Let him get to see if you can make him flustered and just make him kind of looking over his shoulder every time the ball's coming remotely his way. And they're going to do that. I mean, look, I know people get very much up in their emotions about CONCACAF-ness and CONMEBOL-ness, and we joke about it. Hey, this might be one of those at the end of the game where you see it. And, the hard fouls, the, slowing the game down for cramp's sake to let the time melt off the clock if you're Atlanta, depending. I mean, look, there's going to be people who will just lose their mind over this game. That just make peace with it now. Go ahead and just make peace with your dear and fluffy Lord on it.
Oh, here's your final word before we take a quick break. Don't listen to people. Like, this is about surviving. This is not about anything other than that. If Greg Garza gets knocked down and lays there for 2 minutes because the referee lets him, he's going to do that. If Franco Escobar has a throw and he takes 2 minutes to throw it in because the referee allows it, he's going to do that. You have to survive. Period. This is business. This is survival. This is a postseason match. This is getting to MLS Cup. That's all that matters here. So if Jair Marufo allows those things to happen, they will happen. He's a great referee. I don't expect him to allow those things to happen. I expect him to threaten showing yellow cards for time wasting, and I expect him to show some yellow cards for time wasting. That's fine. That's completely fine. We're going to take a break, wrap up hour number 1 after this.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Wrapping up hour number 1 of Soccer Down Here on a Wall Pass Wednesday. We'll get more of your questions in hour number 2. Couple numbers from the long passing for Atlanta United. And yes, I'm going to continue to say long passing, not direct play, because when you think direct play, when you say direct play, you think of 1967 English First Division where it is just hoofing the ball back and forth. That's not what Atlanta did. It's not what Leandro Gonzalez-Perez did. He completed 71.7% of his passes in the match, 53 passes on the night. 19 of his 53 passes were long passes over 30 yards. He completed 12 of 19 long passes. Brad Kazan, not as high of a percentage, 6 of 17. But then you get to your other center backs, Jeff Lerenowitz, Michael Parkhurst. Just under 50%, 5 of 11, both of them, on connecting long passes. Julian Gressel, 4 out of 7. Remedi, 2 out of 4. Almiron, 2 out of 3. Escobar, 1 out of 3. And that's why you see Escobar was a target of long passes. He wasn't involved in hitting those the other way. If you allow a team that is as technical as Atlanta United to sit and hit long passes all day, they will. It's not rocket science. It is not direct play. It is long passing to open a game up. We talked about it coming in. What does Atlanta need to do to exploit New York's press? They need to switch the point of attack. They need to get them moving side to side, and they need to take advantage of those spots in the corners when the outside backs go. Okay, New York didn't send the outside backs in this one. Then Atlanta, instead of having a ball into the corner for Franco Escobar to run onto, he had to battle Connor Lade. He did. He won quite a few of those. Atlanta benefited from it. New York has to do something different here, and I think they have to go back to their bread and butter. Is it going to be as effective? No, obviously not. If Atlanta's going to play that many long passes in a match, no, the press is not going to be as effective. It won't be. It can't be. Can it still be effective? Yeah, 100%. And to think that it's not is silly, to be perfectly honest. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how New York approaches it. We'll see how Atlanta approaches it. If they change anything, we'll get into all that along with your questions. Hour number 2, Soccer Down Here on a Wall Pass Wednesday. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath.
He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties.
He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star, and Shelter Pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
You're listening to Soccer Down Here daily on SDH Networks, a division of OSG Sports. Find us at Soccer Down Here on Facebook and Twitter. The time is now the top of the hour. Peep, y'all.
Hour number 2, Soccer Down Here. November 28th, the eve of the MLS Conference Finals. Atlanta headed to Red Bull Arena tomorrow for kickoff just after 7:30. Portland headed to Kansas City for kickoff, I believe, after 9:30, maybe close to 10. Portland and Kansas City come in scoreless. You have to give Kansas City the slight advantage. I think 538 has them at 66% likely to win here. I think that's a little high. I think Portland's a team who can kind of thrive in these situations and will find a way to do so. The Atlanta side, yeah, it's not likely that New York gets through. It's not impossible either. And Atlanta has to be as effective as they were on Sunday. New York will, I would assume, find something different to not allow that to happen. I don't know what they do because they have really limited their opportunities to play to their strengths here. And that's the biggest issue for the Red Bulls. John, do we have more questions on the Twitters to dig into?
Why, yes, we do. And one of them has gotten instantaneous help from friend of the show, Drew Bartow. We had some advice that was requested by Philip Jordan, Atlanta United fan living in Charleston, South Carolina here. Thanks for listening in Charleston. Are there any other fans living in Charleston that know of a better place to watch Atlanta United? Getting tired of being looked at like I'm crazy when I ask for a soccer game in the middle of all the NFL fans. And Drew Bartow has helped out with a couple of places, so we're putting that question out to everyone else who's listening in Charleston. Help the man out so he can find the right location and watch the game tomorrow. Chris Burns, how would you use Red Bull's personnel to attack the verticalidad? Get across midfield, then attack deliberately was brilliant.
I mean, I would probably do what I said about the Red Bulls. I'd probably move Royer central, get Emmanuel and Adams pushed up high to make life difficult for Atlanta. And when I'm able to make them not connect a long pass, but to give the ball away, I would go right back down their throat. I would probably go back over the top as well. Adams, Emmanuel, BWP up top against Atlanta's back line. Try to force Escobar and Garza to sit deeper instead of getting forward. That takes away, I think, Atlanta's biggest weapon from Sunday. And then you're looking for the second ball with Royer and Kaku in behind. You're going to have to look for stuff like that is lower percentage here because you're not going to be able to press and create those higher percentage chances because Atlanta's not going to give you that. New York's not a team that's been able to string together a whole bunch of passes. I mean, go back to, was it the second goal or the third goal against Columbus where people were marveling because the Red Bulls connected, I think, 6 passes in a build-up. And it was, oh, wow, it's a whole different thing. It's plan B. That's what a lot of teams do on a regular basis. Okay, so if that is your golden plan B, well, how are you going to put yourself in a situation to do that here? I don't know. Because I don't think Atlanta's going to allow you. Atlanta will not press and will not get stretched because they don't need to. But do you think Miguel Almiron and Joseph Martinez are going to put their hand up and say, no, we're not going to step to the ball here even though we should? I don't think so. So if those two harass things, make it difficult for New York to play out of the back, okay, then New York's got to figure something out. This is why you can't lose 3-0 in the first leg, because your percentages for figuring out how to take advantage of the match have dramatically decreased. So I think for New York, they thrive in a game that is scrappy and stretched and wild. They have to make this one that, and they have to get set pieces. They have to get set pieces. They have to get free kicks. They have to get corners. That is their best chance of creating goals. It's been their best chance for the last 2, 3, 4 months of the season. It's even more of a chance here. They have to give Aaron Long opportunities on crosses, off of free kicks, off of corners to influence the game, because that is the one thing that Atlanta will have a problem with. Aaron Long on set pieces is a problem. Atlanta's going to have to figure out something to do about it, and New York's going to have to create the opportunities to give him those chances.
Jorge Santander at El Mataflow as we watch Swansea together in the championship. He says Atlanta executed the overload to Escobar majestically throughout the night. Miggy and Joseph running long up top and in the left channels allowed that to happen in September. This didn't happen at Red Bull Arena for all the reasons you guys mentioned. Hashtag Walk Past Wednesday.
It's not an overload. I want to get the terminology correct here, because actually the overload would be on the other side when you look to do this, because you're trying to draw the opposition to the opposite side of the field when you hit that ball to Escobar. Before you hit the ball to Escobar, because you want Escobar in a 1v1. So the overload is on the opposite side, then you're playing to the open side. That's something Atlanta does really well, and they did that consistently through the season. You saw it at times with Miguel Almiron and Mikey Ambrose when he came on for Greg Garza. I thought those two created a really good combination of overloading on the left, hitting the ball to the opposite side. You see it at times when you overload the right, when Julian Gressel would be on the right, or when he would drift right and create 2v1s or 3v2 opportunities and then hit to the back post. Joseph is so good at finding those pockets of space on the opposite side from the overload. So you want the overload on one side, hit the ball the other way. That's what Atlanta does really well.
And we are officially caught up on Twitter questions at the moment. So if you have anything going on, remember this is your AMA. And let us know at Soccer Down Here. Use the hashtag WallPassWednesday.
Yeah, send us your questions. A couple more quotes from Chris Armas from the article yesterday. Dylan Butler did a great job with this interview getting these quotes out of Chris Armas. He said, "We thought we had to pick our poison. We're not going to get into the entire thinking behind it, but we thought about compressing spaces and taking away where they could be dangerous." And they did that in some ways, because instead of allowing Miguel Almiron, Joseph Martinez, Gressel to a lesser sense because he played a little bit differently than I think New York expected, but you took space and touches away from them, and you gave them to your three center backs, and more importantly, Atlanta was then able to say, okay, you're not going to let us play through the middle? Fine. Franco, Greg, hello, you're going to be very important today. And they were. This is why Atlanta's such a difficult team to play. Because last year, when you took Miguel Almiron away, you didn't have a lot of other options, Jarrett. This year, you do. You have Darlington Nagbe who can play in those tight spaces. You have Joseph Martinez, who a year more into the system will drop in and combine and move people around, and that movement off the ball is such an underrated part of his game. But Sunday, the 3-5-2 allowed you to have that true plan B if they take Miguel Almiron out of the game in playing down the flanks with guys like Franco Escobar and Greg Garza.
Ironically, when I thought Atlanta would change how they were playing, I thought a lot of it would hinge on Ezequiel Barco this year and Barco's ability to make people change what they were doing. But yeah, that was basically like Nagbe and everybody else, and Atlanta just turns into a transformer. And it does feel kind of like at times like a tale of two cities, where you have one team that is like, yeah, we have to play differently. hell yeah, let's saddle up, let's go. And the other team is kind of like, we're going to try something different, and y'all, this might blow up the lab in a bad way. And I don't know. It's kind of like the mindset right now after when you're walking down to the tunnel after that game, walking to the locker rooms, like, I don't know how you deal with this team right now. If you're any other team, I don't know how you deal with Atlanta right now, because they're clicking on all cylinders, and they're clicking in all cylinders in different ways and seem to be able to change gear without a clutch.
You have to have a well-balanced team to be able to deal with this, because you can't just take one player away and limit Atlanta's effectiveness. The biggest thing is you can't get away from what you do. And this is something that I think teams always do against great teams, is they think that, well, we can't play our game, so we have to do something different. How many times did you see teams do this to Barcelona and say, we can't play with Barcelona, we have to sit and defend and pack everybody behind the ball? Well, yeah, you might make it a little more difficult for Barcelona to play. But those teams, Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, found the space and made it happen. More often than not, by sitting back and playing deeper, you hurt yourself even more. Now, the Red Bulls did not sit back and play deeper. They got compact in the middle, but they didn't play their normal game, which was the press. They didn't want to get exposed. Chris Armas said, we talked and prepared to be aggressive even from a deeper block. We let the goal slip that way, but it's still a cross that we can maybe deal with. I know there's dialogue out there, but again, we know on the inside with some of the pressing that we press also from deeper areas. For sure, you don't have to press up high all the time. That's not it. And Armas said, all-out pressing high up the field reduces numbers in the midfield to win second balls. He finished up saying, I would have went against every logic and every common sense thing, knowing they're going to play direct and have less guys to deal with second balls on the road in leg one. I thought we thought about it the right way. Okay, I'm pleased with the work leading up, but I'm not pleased with the result. It's an interesting interview because it sounds like justification for a 3-0 loss, and there's not. Paul Carr had these stats that I think are very important. First half, Red Bulls had 0 possessions start in the attacking third during the first half. They averaged a league-high 6.4 such possessions in the first half this season. That's more than 6 times in each game during the season. They turned you over in your defensive third and started an attack there. Okay, now Atlanta wasn't going to allow you to do that because they were more prone to play long. That's true. That's fine. Paul Carr finished up. He said to put a bow on New York's game. The Red Bulls finished with 0 possessions started in the attacking third. They averaged a league-high 11.3 per game in the regular season and had at least 4 in every game. Did no one else play this type of style against the Red Bulls all season? That's not true. That's not true at all. So why, in your biggest game, do you decide that I've got to sit deeper and get more compact? I don't want to get pressing up high up the field because I don't want to reduce numbers in the midfield to win the second ball. You weren't winning the second ball. So, again, you get to a point in the match, and halftime would have been the prime example, where you look at this and you say, we're not creating anything that we normally do because we've decided not to. So you're not creating those turnovers, all right? You're not creating anything attacking-wise at all. They had 1 shot, and it was blocked from about 20 yards out as Bradley Wright Phillips from outside the 18, and it was blocked at the edge of the 18. That was your only shot. You had no other chances created in the first half. So you're not creating anything. All right, that's fine. It's first leg, you're on the road. But you've conceded, I think, 6 chances in the first half. You've conceded a goal. You've seen what Atlanta's going to do to you. Where's the adjustment? Where's the adjustment when you decided that you're going to play this way to not win to win the second ball, to not get exposed? You're not winning the second ball. What do you do? Are you going to put more numbers in there to win the second ball? I don't really know what you could have done to deal with that. Maybe you could have brought on Shutkowski earlier and put him in the middle as well and went to more of a 4-4-2 diamond type of thing or something. I don't know. Again, you're getting further away from your comfort zone. Or maybe you're not going to press like lunatics high up the field, but maybe Alex Muyl, Kaku, Royer are going to step up higher and make that long pass a little bit harder to hit if you're Atlanta United. Maybe you're going to do that because then you might have a better chance to win the second ball. Then you might actually create some of those turnovers. But you're going to make Atlanta play differently. You're not going to give them as clean of a look. And I disagree about his comment about the goal slipping that way. You can't let Jeff Larentowicz walk the ball up inside the attacking half. That's a whole different thing. That's nothing to do with pressing. That's not stepping to the ball. Those are two different things. Pressing would be in the other team's half. Jeff Larentowicz getting the ball, 45, 50 yards from goal and being allowed to walk it up 20 yards and hit across? That's just bad defending.
And it's still hilarious. Like, going back and watching that where Jeff Larentowicz almost looks up and is like, oh, there's 20 yards. Yeah, I'll just kind of saunter this thing up and launch it in there. Sure, if y'all are going to give me that.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes it easy. It makes life easy. That's nothing to do with pressing. That's bad defending. And I think some of that is down to asking a team to do something that doesn't fit their DNA. So what do the Red Bulls do differently here? I would have said probably not a ton, although, yeah, your press is not going to be as effective in terms of creating turnovers in your attacking third, but it might force more turnovers, period. I think you have to go to that. I think you're not going to just run crazy and just get everybody chasing something when you know Atlanta's going to play long and then limiting your options or creating 1v1s the other way. You still want to be able to win a second ball. You still want to be able to recover the ball. But you can't just let Atlanta hit long passes all day. You can't let Leandro Gonzalez-Perez go 12 of 19 on passes over 30 yards. You can't do that. If you do that, you're going to lose. You can't let a center back do that to you. You can't let Atlanta's three center backs combined connect on 22 long passes in the match. You can't do that. 22 of 41. You cannot allow three center backs to do that to you because you will lose. 50-50 on those balls. Connecting the long pass, that's not even talking about the second ball. That's not getting into the second ball. That's connecting on the pass. That is the long ball, the direct play that we've been talking about all day. Not being won, not being contested. It's being connected on a pass by Atlanta. 22 of 41. That's unacceptable if you're the Red Bulls. You can't allow that to happen. So if you're not winning the second ball, if you're not winning the first ball, you got to try to challenge the pass to begin with. That's just how it is to me. So we'll see. We'll see what the Red Bulls do. We'll see what Atlanta does in response. I don't think Atlanta has to change very much. I think Atlanta's in a prime position here to play exactly the same way they have in the last three games and take what the game gives them. If it gives them 5 chances, fine. If it gives them 10 chances, fine. If it gives them 1 chance, fine. You just don't concede. That's all you got to do. You've allowed 5 shots on goal in 3 games. Your defense has been very good in this system. You don't have to get more defensive. You just play. You're set up to just play now, and that's a great spot to be in.
Question from Daniel Graham. I didn't know if you're gonna take a break now, because we have questions and we also have a judgment call from a mayor.
Okay, let's take one more question and we'll go to break.
Oh, I was just going to say, Daniel Graham, coming at it from the Red Bulls' point of view, he says, Adams at left back for Connor Lade, ? Whoever replaced him at D-mid on 9:30 did a good job at pressing. # Wallpaper Wednesday. Come on now, Daniel, it's wall pass.
Yeah, it's not wallpaper. I think Atlanta United does Wallpaper Wednesday, though. So where they issue the new wallpapers for your phone. So if you're looking for something special for the match, then there you go. Yeah, Tyler Adams at left back is actually a really interesting idea. I would rather see him in a different spot if I'm the Red Bulls because I think he can impact the match more. But Sunday, Yeah, that should have been something that Chris Armas considered because you were getting crushed. It's a really good point about the September game because I thought Mark Szatkowski was the man of the match. And he was the one who played with Sean Davis and Kaku in the central midfield. Szatkowski is an excellent passer. If I'm the Red Bulls, I would want to find him a spot on the field here. Their lineup on that day, it was their normal back four of Kamar Lawrence, Aaron Long, Tim Parker, Michael Murillo. It was Sean Davis, Mark Szatkowski, Kaku, Daniel Royer on the left, Alex Mule on the right, and Brian White up top in place of Bradley Wright Phillips. Who would you sacrifice to get Szatkowski on? I don't know if I'd start Adams at left back from the jump. I think you need him in a more attack-minded position. It might be tough because of the position you're in. But considering what you could have done on Sunday or what you could have done at halftime on Sunday is probably even more important. Yeah, that would have been an option. I think it's harder to do here because of where you're at. Let's take a quick break, come back. More questions on a Wall Pass Wednesday. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, November 28th edition. Wall Pass Wednesday, we're taking your questions. It's an AMA for us, so you can ask us whatever you like. Lots of questions about Atlanta and New York tomorrow from Red Bull Arena. The match will be on FS1. Broadcast time, I believe, is 7:30. Kick will be just a little bit after that. For us on 92.9 The Game, Five Stripes Countdown starts at 7 o'clock. Dukes and Bell will be talking a lot about the match. I think myself and Mike Conti will probably be hopping on sometime in the 6 o'clock hour to start getting you ready. Post-match, Jarrett will be in with Andy Bunker and the Bunker Mentality after our possibly slightly abbreviated full-time report. There will be a plane to catch, so we'll see how everything goes, but there will be lots of Atlanta United talk on 92.9 The Game, both pre and during the game and post-game, no matter what happens. West Coast, Western Conference Finals tomorrow. It's after Atlanta and New York. It's on ESPN. From Kansas City, Portland comes in scoreless with Kansas City in that one. I think that's a toss-up. I really do. I don't think there's a huge advantage for Kansas City in this. I could easily see Portland winning 1-0 on a counter from Blanco assisted by Valeri. I could easily see that happening.
Five Stripe Daily with a question. He says, knowing the set-piece threat, do you hazard starting McCann over Garza for height, or do you damn the torpedoes and stick with what works?
I think you do hazard it. Garza cramped up. Looks like he's going to be fine for Thursday, according to Tata Martino and everything yesterday. I think you do hazard it. I don't think you have to start. I think maybe as the game goes on, you might consider it later, depending on where you're at. But, yeah, if Garza's okay to go, I think you're a better team with Garza. You have more of a threat of him getting forward and getting in behind as New York takes chances. So that's not necessarily a bad thing from the start, and you can adjust during the game if you have to. If you're getting killed on set pieces and you have to make a change, you make a change.
Jarrett Riley Miletsky, Roots Up Riley, says, I'm probably looking ahead too much, but who's a bigger threat to Atlanta in the West? My 2 cents, Sporting is not playing their best ball, and Blanco and Valeri's ability to draw defenders in and create space quickly on counters scares me. Still think we should beat both. Jarrett, what do you think?
Well, you and Jason, I think, are in the same boat in that regard. I don't discount the threat of them. Also, I get nervous about playing a team that could come in here with a Christmas tree and say, yeah, we'll play for 120 minutes and see if we can take this thing to penalties. And if we can find a counter, we'll find a counter. Otherwise, we'll just kind of, go about our lives and just keep you at a goal. Because you're going to see either one of those teams, or especially Portland, deciding, yeah, the number that's most important is the number Atlanta's been relying on, the 0 on the other side of things. And then on a one-off, weird things can happen. We'll just punt it down there, and we'll not punt it down, but we'll get the ball on Valeri or Blanco's foot and see if they can make some magic happen. I think you still have to be concerned with Sporting Kansas City just because it's Tim Melia. And, man, Atlanta United does a really good job of catching good keepers on a bad day to catch good keepers. So that's always in the back of my head as well, to be honest. That you put some shots on goal and Tim Melia turns into Neo from the Matrix for a couple minutes.
I think Kansas City is the more complete team. I think Portland has the 2 best players in the series, and Valeri and Blanco. Both would be a huge challenge, but in a one game, I think Portland's ability to lock things down defensively and play for 120 minutes in penalties, and maybe if Blanco and Valeri can make some magic happen, then great. That worries me. Kansas City is just a better complete team. They have, I think, one of the best defenses in the league. Mealy is a big part of that. Beasler and Opara are a huge part of that at center back. Graham Zusi was a Defender of the Year candidate at right back, and when he gets forward and influences the game, he has a huge impact. Johnny Russell's a game changer, and I think Kansas City is still kind of piecing everything else together, and it has been a little inconsistent in the attacking end for them. It's been really good at times and really unproductive at times. So we'll have to see if they can survive this, but neither one will be easy, but you got to get through Thursday first.
All right. Here's our judgment call from the mayor of Lafayette, Georgia, Andy Arnold. Morning, Mayor. Hashtag Wallpass Wednesday. He says he agrees we start the same lineup as we did Sunday. Wanted to know what about starting McCann instead of Garza because of strength. Now, the judgment call, Jason. Also, is it bad for a small town mayor to miss his town's Christmas parade to go to New Jersey?
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one.
Can you FaceTime that one, Mayor? Can you Skype back home from Harrison, New Jersey?
You can't Skype back into a parade. That's not how it works.
Have somebody carry a monitor and have him in like that monitor in the back of a T-Bird or something?
No, that's not how it's going to work.
Does he have? But does he have to wear the top hat and the sash and be there and christen everything? That's my question.
I don't know. I don't know how this parade works. I don't know if there are responsibilities in this parade for the mayor. So that's probably what it comes down to. If it's not anything where you have to decree anything or do anything or wave at anybody, then yeah, I think you can miss it. If you have some kind of responsibility, then what I would recommend is you have your radio with you and you have your earbuds that maybe people might not see unless they're looking very close, and you can listen to Mike Conti and I on the call. We'll keep you posted.
And send someone in your stead, someone from the family who doesn't have to be at said parade, go in your stead and be there to represent you in Harrison, New Jersey.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, that could work.
Now, next question.
There are tickets available from what we hear.
Yes. SeatGiant.com. Use the code SDH at checkout for the official secondary ticket provider for soccer down here.
Yeah, definitely that. I don't know if you have to go to secondary because I think there's still tickets available. But anyway.
Yes. It's Coming Home Part 2 at Alex_KY87. Hopped on a bit late this morning, so I'm not sure if you talked about it. Do you see Atlanta lining up Thursday, 5-3-2 possibly, same setup? I feel they'll try to score first and then bunker. Hashtag Wild Pass Wednesday.
Okay, first off, let's not use the "it's coming home" thing because that didn't work so well. So no, I'm going to vote against that very, very strongly. No, I don't see Atlanta bunkering. I don't think it's part of what they do, and I don't see Tata Martino doing what Chris Armas did and going against your DNA. Are they going to be more conservative? Sure, and don't confuse Franco Escobar and Greg Garza sitting a little bit more and not bombing forward as much as bunkering. You can approach the match in a more conservative manner and not bunker. Bunkering for Atlanta in that shape would be 5-4-1, Joseph Martinez by himself at the midfield line, Miguel Almiron dropping deep with the three midfielders, and your outside backs sitting deep and not really leaving the defensive third. I don't see that happening until the end, if you have to. You know, you can't say that it won't, because if it's 3-2, 85th minute, and New York's piling the pressure on, yeah, you're packing everybody behind the ball, 100%. If it's 3-0 in the opening minute, you're probably not packing everybody behind the ball. You're probably going to play the match as it plays out.
Frank Marrow says that he'd start Garza, and if he needs to come out, bring in Bello.
Well, it depends on where you are in the game, because there could be two different situations. I mean, if Garza has to come out earlier and you're 1-1 and you're threatening the Red Bulls and really making things difficult for them by Garza getting down the left side because Murillo is pushed up very high, then okay, you might actually want to go to Bello. Otherwise, if you're under pressure and New York is causing problems on set pieces, you're going to go to McCann. These are the things that I just always want to caution people in saying, like, this guy or this guy, and that's it. This game and this scenario, you have to play for what can happen here. So you want as many possibilities for what can happen in this, because you could get an early goal and not have to worry about things. And then it's, okay, well, Garza, cramped up a little bit the other day. Let's get him out early because we're good and we can play whatever. Or you could be in a very defensive stance because New York's put pressure on you and gotten a couple goals, and you have to survive and get out of there. And you might have to change your tactics to do so. So don't go in with all these absolutes. There are so many different things that can happen on Thursday, and you have to be prepared, and you have to create an 18 that gives you as many different options to fix things if you need to. Because you might. You never know.
Stanton, at Stanton III, says, scared money don't make money. And this is the next part from the Swixter, is probably a question that we should pose both today and tomorrow. He says, along the, quote, missing blank for Atlanta United line, assuming things go well tomorrow, I'll be missing my company's Christmas party along with a significant number of others in the office. What would you be missing for Atlanta United, folks? That's your question. That's the QOD, and it might be the QOD for both today and tomorrow. What are you missing to watch the match tomorrow?
That's a good one. I'll be curious to see what people have to say. I want to see as many different pictures and videos and updates from people watching this game and where they're watching it from as possible, because the team has a viewing party at Atlantic Station. I know 92.9 The Game has one in Avondale Estates at the Stratford with the Faction. I know Terminus Legion is at Hudson FC. I know both Fido Irish Pub locations will be packed. Footy Mob is, I know, at Midway. I think at Grindhouse in Decatur. Everybody who has any kind of beer sign with a soccer ball on it, whether it is Premier League related or Liga MX related or Atlanta United related, they'll be packed. They'll be packed. And lots of people will have people over to their house. It will be a wild day and night for the Five Stripes in Atlanta. And I want to see as many different pictures of how people are watching or listening to this as possible. I'm looking forward to that. Let's take a break. More questions on the other side. Tweet at us. Wallpass Wednesday, hashtag @SoccerDownHere. We'll be right back.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath.
He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties.
He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here. Wallpass Wednesday. Get back into the Twitter timeline, John. What else do we have on the Twitters from the peeps?
Let's see. Euphonious Bug Nuts.
One of the greatest.
Garza all day long. Yeah, I love that handle. When he came out, they made McCann defend Tyler Adams when they had the ball. No way, no how McCann can cover Adams.
McCann wasn't covering Adams directly. Adams might have been drifting over to that side to try to find space. And no, 1v1, you're not going to be asking Chris McCann to stick with Tyler Adams. That's a bad setup. McCann would be the option if Garza couldn't go, or if you're having problems with set pieces and you have to make an adjustment later in the game. That's where McCann becomes useful here. So, yeah, I think as long as Garza can give you a good 60 to 80 minutes, you're going to start him here because he's going to give you the best chance to kill the series off. I think that's where you want to be from the beginning. I think Atlanta wants to look without risking anything because they've been very good about not risking. I think we've seen this evolution over the club's history where they were very, very open last year to this year. Tata Martino talking about it consistently, about working to keep that attack-minded philosophy but limit the risk of conceding. And I think they've found that balance now and at the right time.
Jeb Hart at Jeb_Hart. So I saw the joint letter from Portland and Sporting supporters groups about the ticket allocation number being only 900 that should Atlanta host.
Away ticket allocation.
Okay. Are there no tickets left to sell from the season ticket holders / multi-pass people who had early access to buy cup tickets? What's the deal?
Oh, I have no idea. Nobody knows that. And I don't think that's the issue. Like, don't mix 20 different things into one here. First off, MLS handles the ticketing for MLS Cup. That's the number one thing to keep in mind. 2, away ticket allocation is going to be a very different conversation in Atlanta than it would be in other venues. Let's be honest. You're comparing Atlanta and Red Bull Arena because those are the two places MLS Cup could be. Red Bull Arena doesn't normally sell out. Atlanta does. So it's a different conversation about away ticket allocation. It's a lot easier for the Red Bulls with a very low season ticket base and probably a very low just ticket database period. It's very easy for the Red Bulls to set aside whatever your number is, even in a smaller building. For Atlanta, huge season ticket base. On top of whatever you got to do with MLS and sponsors and allocations for that and deal with that. On top of what you have seen in the postseason, 70,000 plus 2 games. There's still room, and I'd love to see the best way to find the balance. But it is a home game for Atlanta United. So you have to find this balance between the two. I don't know what the best way to do that is. I don't know the layout. I don't know where tickets are sold, in what sections, and where you block things out, and how you set it up. I don't know that. And I don't know what the process was here. I don't know who made this decision. But MLS handles the ticketing. This was the decision they came up with. It does seem low when you just compare, well, Mercedes-Benz is bigger than Red Bull Arena, but Red Bull Arena would have more tickets for the away sections. The season ticket base, the ticket database is completely different when you start talking about percentages of capacity between Atlanta and Red Bulls, even in the bigger venue for Atlanta. So that factors into it. Now, I've seen lots of people try to throw shade and cite that there is a recommended FIFA number of 5% of your venue that should be available for the away fans. One, there's no rule. There's no 5% rule of that. So I think you're kind of reaching if that's the case. If that's a recommendation, okay. If MLS wants to enact that, then enact it across the board. Enact it all the way across the board. 5% of your venue is for the away fans, and you give them a certain amount of time to buy tickets, and if they don't buy them, then they're open to the general public. See how that goes over in Portland when Seattle's coming to town. See how the Timbers deal with that. See how that works in other venues that are small, that you're going to set 5% aside for the away fans in a big rivalry game. Montreal, Toronto, Red Bull and New York City, DC and New York. I mean, different places where it's easy to travel. LA and LAFC, Galaxy and LAFC. If you're going to do it, then if that's where you want it to be, then lobby for MLS to do that and make it a league rule. 5%, period. And the opposing fans have an opportunity to buy that 5% up to whatever day before the game, however many days, however many hours. And if they're not sold, then they go on sale to the general public. And if you do that across the board, then do it for MLS Cup. That's fine. But you can't start throwing arbitrary things out there like that when it's not necessarily feasible for that to happen in every venue in the league. It's Seattle, Portland, for example. It's easy for Seattle to take tarps off of upper sections that they don't normally sell and sell those to Portland fans and sell however many they wanted to. But then they know going to Providence Park that there's no way they can get the same because of the season ticket base for the Timbers. So why would they do that? Because you're trying to create it equal. So that's the things that go into this. It's not an easy decision. You'd love to see as many Portland or Kansas City fans as possible at MLS Cup, regardless of where it is. And hopefully the league figures out the best way to make that happen.
Kerry says to start Greg not knowing if Chris McCann is 90 minutes fit. Jason, you might have to explain this one to me. Riley says it's still not a real Southside watch party.
Say that again? Start over?
Okay, Riley, I guess, is talking about watch parties.
Yeah.
And he says that it's still not a real Southside watch party.
What's not a Southside watch party? Start over. I don't know what the start was.
So Riley's going to have to come up with at least a sentence or two to explain this.
No, what was he responding to?
It's a solo. I mean, there is no link, is what I'm saying.
Okay, then I have no idea what that has anything to do with.
Okay, so then there we go. Riley, explain yourself.
Okay. Things have gone off the rails.
Explain yourself. What is a Southside Watch Party, and what are you responding to? Tyler Rice is asking if we saw that the Copa Libertadores might be played in the U.S. on December 8th, possibly Miami. I hope it doesn't interfere with MLS Cup. Maybe a lead-in, a Copa Libertadores final lead-in to MLS final would be pretty epic.
The U.S. Soccer Federation would never approve the Copa Libertadores final in the United States to kick off in competition with MLS Cup. And there would have to be U.S. Soccer Federation approval for that to happen. So that ain't happen. Could it be a lead-up? Sure, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't matter to me because I'm not watching it because I would be preparing whichever way. I think it would kind of diminish MLS a little bit in that regard to get to your final and then have another final played in front of it as the lead-in. World Cup final and an MLS regular season game in the summer is a different conversation. So I think there's a chance it ends up in Miami. I think Miami's not exactly easy to do because the Dolphins play the next day at Hard Rock Stadium, so we'll have to see if they could pull off that turnaround. I think it's probably more likely to be in Paraguay on December 9th.
Patrick says that you don't start McCann. And then Daniel Graham, watch party at the Homestead. 3 screens is better than 1. And then he sends a picture of the man cave where he has 3 extra large televisions wall mounted with 2 big speakers under TV number 1 and TV number 3.
But how do you decide which TV to watch? Unless you got a bunch of people over and you're all about like everybody's got a TV and you're good and everybody can see from every angle, then that works. I'll have to check that out. That sounds like a pretty epic situation. That'd be great for like a decision day or other like situations like World Cup or Champions League where you've got games going on at the same time. That'd be epic. Random Saturday nights for the regular season. I'll keep that in mind.
Mike Valverde says he's been giddy all week, but his game face is starting to form. We need to finish what we started to get to the real prize.
Yes.
And then the Soccer for Good OG is hoping that you, sir, meaning at Longshoe, have found a suitable caffeinated pick-me-up substitute during this critical moment of Atlanta United history.
Nope. I will drink their Red Bull and I will enjoy it. I will have a Red Bull at Red Bull Arena and I will enjoy it. It will be great. Maybe there will be smashing of a can afterwards, but yes, I will drink their Red Bull and enjoy their liquid goodness.
And you're talking about the new flavor, too. You used to be locked into the silver one, but now you're locked into another one for the winter months.
The silver one was good. It was a nice summer change up. The coconut berry one, that was very good. I still like the original, but there's a winter plum twist that tastes like it's like sweet tart flavored, which is really good. I like it.
Yeah, plum twist. I can't go there. I can't go there. You're a braver man than I for drinking that particular beverage in the first place. But I could never do coconut berry, and I definitely can't do plum twist.
Yeah. We know about your lack of adventure when it comes to drinks and or food items.
Correct. I'm an old man in singular habits for both.
Boring.
That's not disputable. I'm not disputing it. I like what I like. I'm very comfortable in my set routines. I'm the cardigan sweater of food and drink consumption.
Boring.
Yeah, I'll stipulate to that instantaneously. I will stipulate to that every day of the week and twice on Tuesdays.
I was a little sketchy about trying the plum twist because I'm not exactly a fan of plum, but it was really good. So it's good stuff. And yes, I will drink Red Bull today and tomorrow and Friday as well, and hopefully it will be in celebration.
Riley's trying to get you to drink NOS.
Oh, no, not happening. I did try Crunk Juice back in the day. Crunk Juice was pretty bad stuff. I mean, you had to support Little John. It's Little John. You got to support the local folks. But
yeah,
it wasn't that good. And don't do that again. That's no good. Don't do that again. That was upsetting.
Well, that's like the Jolt Cola of energy drinks.
Oh, I drank Jolt Cola too. That was fun. Jolt Cola was craziness. That's a whole different thing. We found a gas station when I was in high school that I guess had started selling Jolt Cola again. Because remember in the 80s when it came out, like it got outlawed in places?
Yeah.
Because people were having problems drinking Jolt Cola and like, I don't know, I guess like having heart murmurs and stuff.
Yeah. It was doing that. It just gave me a headache.
It was crazy. Like we found a place randomly, some gas station in Morrow that had Jolt Cola. And we stopped and got some, and a bunch of us in high school decided we would drink Jolt Cola the next day before school. And we all got together and we drank a Jolt Cola. No Pop Rocks. We just drank Jolt Cola. And it was good. And I was wired all day. And then we went back and got some more. And there was basketball games that night. And everybody else who drank Jolt Cola got sick and wanted to go home. And it was great. I loved it. So I guess I'm immune to that stuff. I don't know.
Well, apparently the host of soccer over there is wagging his finger at me for dissing Jolt Cola.
Exactly. He's going to post the meme again, and you're not going to be on the friend side of things.
Well, yeah, you'll be back on the friend side, and I won't be on the friend side. I'm waiting for it in 3, 2, 1. We're caught up on Twitter. You want to go to commercial?
Yes, we're going to go to our final break. I don't have any more Red Bull to drink. I will probably get some on the way to the airport. And Nick and I will have a Jolt Cola at some point in the near future. But we're going to take a break right now. Come back, wrap up the show on the other side. Stay with us.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, final segment.
The meme has been adjusted.
There we go. Thank you, Nick. November 28th edition of the show. We've been talking energy drinks, which is kind of appropriate. It is Atlanta United and the New York Red Bulls tomorrow night from Red Bull Arena. Last time Red Bull Arena in September, they did not have the coconut Red Bull. I was a little disappointed that Red Bull Arena did not have the special flavored Red Bulls. We'll see if they have the plum twist tomorrow. I hope so. I would like a plum twist Red Bull before the game. Jarrett, you didn't chime in on any of that. What is your energy drinking yeses, nos, what have yous?
Yeah, it's pretty much a blanket no at this point in my life.
Wow.
When I was in college and, working full-time job, doing an internship or a practicum, and also going to school full-time. Yeah, then I was trying. I was trying to survive.
But what was it? What was your drink of choice?
Oh, God. Just pretty much whatever I could get my hands on. So at the office...
you didn't care. Gotcha.
I don't care. At the office, there was Monster, but I don't really care for it, but it kept me alive.
Yeah.
And it also may have killed me in the process. My heart may have stopped a couple times.
But Monster will make your heart go again because of the crazy, ridiculous energy boost that you get from it. So it can work.
Yeah, I can live without it though. Like
I'm not a Monster fan. I'm not a Monster Energy.
No, I'm not a Monster fan.
You're not a fan of any of it, John. You don't get to chime in here. You were afraid of Kickstart. That's the Fisher-Price training wheels of energy drinks.
Yeah, as I said, I'm the cardigan sweater of food and drink.
Yeah, so you don't get to say Monster. No, we know you're not a fan of Monster. Or
to be fair, John
Juice,
ate Shepherd's pie.
Or whatever else. Shepherd's pie is good stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, he could taste a lot of
stuff. But Shepherd's pie is not exactly adventurous now.
No,
that's pretty old school.
But I did have a side of fries to go with it.
Well, that's kind of weird, isn't it?
Why is that weird?
It's not chips, basically, depending on what country you're in.
Yeah. I think normally you just go Shepherd's pie, and it's just Shepherd's pie.
Well, I needed something warm on a sub-freezing temperature evening.
Fair enough. I will probably be going with soup somewhere in a deli in New York tonight, or New Jersey, depending on where we go.
New Jersey.
Well, it depends on where we go. We might go to Sarge's Deli in New York, which was pretty cool last time we were there.
So what'd you get at Sarge's?
Man, I don't even remember what I had. That was a crazy one. That was when our flight got canceled coming back after the NYC game. And then we were rebooked for a 6 o'clock flight the next morning. So we went to Sarge's, and then I tried to go to sleep and didn't really sleep too much before going to the airport. I think I had a soup and sandwich, if I remember right. Something pretty basic. It was good stuff. I mean, it's a great deli. It's awesome.
El Mataflo recommends Terere. He says coffee is always acceptable too.
Coffee, it's strange.
Never got into coffee.
Yes, on the first. That's essentially mate. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong. El Mataflo. That's iced mate, if I'm correct. Which is good. I like the iced mate. Coffee, I'm not a fan. Coffee upsets my stomach more so than Red Bull or Monster or any of the rest. So I don't know what that means about my stomach, but yes.
It's because coffee is trash.
Wow. Okay. I was trying to be nice to our coffee drinkers, but okay, Jarrett.
No, I've never gotten over the notion of people drink. Yeah, I mean, just the idea of drinking dark, flavorless water. I've never gotten into that.
Wow. I will have an iced coffee with milk and caramel, and that's pretty good. That's a pretty good drink. That's about it. That's my coffee drinking. It's not very expansive.
I will go without coffee, and my day will be happier for it.
Yeah.
All right. Man.
Yeah,
if you have any complaints about coffee opinions, you can send them to @GarlicBreadWarlord.
Yeah, don't get into a coffee discussion with a Leafy and with Cardenas. I mean, they were getting fancy with the coffee, getting ready for this weekend, this past weekend.
Oh, Felipe is basically Walter White with it.
Yeah, they were.
Felipe
they were
did
getting
stuff with coffee I didn't know was legal in the United States, at least in the lower 48.
They were getting interesting. Okay, El Mataflo did chime in. Terere, yes, cold brew mate, which I guess it's not exactly iced mate, but he prefers it to mate due to his overzealous nature with hot drinks, which sounds very interesting. I don't know where to take that one, Mataflo.
Well, then Ricky Ricardo says, we're in Coca-Cola country. I will hear none of this energy drink talk. And yes, Jarrett, coffee is trash.
I will drink the Coca-Cola as well. But I do know, or I'm just about positive, if I remember correctly, they did not have Coca-Cola products at Red Bull Arena.
Huh.
So I don't know. I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's north of the Mason-Dixon line. I just always assume that's going to be the thing. Like, I remember vividly taking a family trip one year. We took an RV up to Michigan because I can't even remember like all the details as to why, but we did. And like we stopped off in Ohio, and I remember my mom asking for sweet tea, and she's like, the waitress kind of looked at her funny and said, "We can bring you some tea and some Splenda, or some Sweet and Low, not even Splenda."
Exactly.
And I remember thinking like, "Oh, so this is the bad place. Got it. This is the bad place."
Yep. Over the Mason-Dixon line and from Mountain Time Zone over. That's when you get weird looks for that one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Missing out. They're all missing out.
Mm-hmm. See if we help y'all next time you're trying to get out of Atlanta. Lock you out of a Waffle House. Can't have any of Bert's chili. That's the asterisk best in the world.
Yep. Then since one of the three of us has to catch a flight, let's end on this with Alifi saying that Jarrett refuses to drink the exceptional coffee at the Children's Healthcare Training Facility makes me question his decision-making skills.
It's valid.
I don't drink any coffee at all.
It's a valid take, but if you're going to drink it, that would be the place to drink it.
Yeah, I guess, because I keep seeing every time I go there, it's usually Joe, I think. Somebody's always got coffee. And half the players have mate in their hand. I'm like the only one without a drink in my hand.
All right, I think we've covered all of the possible energy drinks that people can drink ahead of tomorrow's match. We will be back tomorrow. I will be at a hotel in New Jersey. The other guys will be here in Atlanta as we get ready for Game 2, Eastern Conference Finals. Atlanta United, 3-0 lead going into it with the New York Red Bulls. Tomorrow will be epic across a number of levels. So prepare, get a good night's sleep. We'll be ready for you in the morning, 9 o'clock, on the SDH app, on soccerdownhere.net, on Spreaker, on ESPN Coastal, on the XL Sports Network, on Barnburner in Canada. Thanks to everybody for listening, however you do so, and thanks to everybody for tweeting at us on a Wall Pass Wednesday. Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha playoffs, y'all.